Good morning. It's Stacy of Living Blueprints, and wherever you are, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm going to talk a little bit about problems in the workplace and this research I've done and what you can do, whether you're an employee or a boss or both of those things, in order to have a better experience of your work life. As it relates to what I found and probably what you experience every day. So if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I'd love it if you would like the video, especially if you find it useful, only if you find it useful, and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. That would be fantastic. So I embarked on this research study where over 1,000 people were surveyed, and it's all about problems in the workplace. And over the next few weeks, you'll begin to see some invitations to a webinar where I'm going to be talking more about the research and ideas about how to navigate given some of the consistent issues inside a workplace in America. And this is also to do with kind of out-of-touch bosses and what gets in the way of leaders knowing more about what's actually happening in the front lines as they need to. I'm not saying that leaders need to know about everything that's happening on the front line, but sometimes there are key things that are happening that it seems kind of crazy or ludicrous to people who are working the day-to-day operation that things aren't being addressed. So, a couple of points here, and this feels a little bit of a smattering, but I think it'll come together. Bosses are often given their position because of some kind of technical proficiency. They do their jobs well, efficiently, and most still in the United States, probably in the world, are not given any coaching or leadership, classes or training in order to transition into the role of managing people and leading people. And this definitely showed up in the study that folks really cited people and communications as the biggest issues of why problems aren't being addressed well or completely. Information isn't able to flow in all the directions that it could. A lot of bosses are still leading from a fear-based mentality. Many are in a command and control type of position. They don't want to look bad. People don't want their team to reflect poorly on them, and therefore they can be very, very controlling about the way that people have to go about their work life. There are a small percentage that are quite inclusive and are able to draw people out and lead in a very, very different type of way. And over time, I think we're going to see more of this. And I actually think we're going to see more self-leadership overall, especially in this time when more and more of us are able to work from home. So, an example of this fear-based versus non-fear-based is that, are you communicating as a leader in order to get compliance? Or are you communicating with a lens of trying to get commitment from your people? It's a totally different take. You could be trying to achieve the same thing because you need people on the same page to achieve something, but how are you kind of building rapport and knowing how your people are going to understand what you're trying to do? And really, you need to be open to knowing who they are in order to inspire through confidence to get people to do things versus just, being very authoritative. It's not usually the way things work the best. So overall, whether you're the boss or the employee, how do you help yourself and others stay out of the fear or flight type of mentality? And how do we work towards being more creative, more plugged in? Again, this is more about how are we committed to our work versus how do we feel, controlled by our work? How can we shift this narrative? What creates workflow for you? Do you ever feel like you're really in that moment where you're creating and doing awesome things? How can you set yourself up to have more of that? If you are leading other people, how can you help them bring more of that out for themselves? All of this is about, it's exactly the type of thing that my content is trying to address. If people aren't able to do this for themselves, how can they do more of it for themselves by learning ways to stay in flow with their work and less controlled by their work? Another point, whether you're the leader or an employee, how can we avoid making assumptions about what people are doing or feeling? I, for one, get very, very reactive when I feel like someone is making assumptions about my feelings or what I should be feeling. I think a big example of this right now is the work from home situation. This gentleman, Nick Bloom, was out of Stanford, was interviewed this weekend on NPR, and it was a very interesting study about what's happening in the work from home environment. When everyone first got home in May and April, you know, there was a lot of disorganization because people weren't set up for it. They were also managing their children, a lot going on. But for those who did have space and who did have not the childcare issues, it actually was a nice change. People loved it. They thought, oh, we're never going back to the office. And now as time has gone by, that has shifted more. And there is a percentage that still wants to stay home full time. I probably put myself in that bucket. There's a percentage that wants some flexibility, maybe a couple days in and a few days at home. And that seems to be the vast majority. And there's some people who want to be in the office all the time. My guess is that those people are probably leaders and bosses. I think that there's more intrinsic satisfaction of being around your team when you're leading the team, but that is a hypothesis that I need to test. But again, we can't make assumptions based on what everyone wants to do going forward with work. It doesn't mean, though, that if a company decides to make certain mandates about whether you're in or out, that's fine. But don't make assumptions about what people want to do, whether you're the person putting those things into effect or not. I want to go back to this thing I've said before, and it's a quote. You know, people rise and fall to meet your level of expectation for them. So if you expect a lot from your people, if you expect a lot from your bosses, and you're really operating from that sense of maturity and respect, they're probably going to rise and fall accordingly. But I'd like to bring that to a different level. You know, how can you rise and fall to the level of expectation for yourself? What do you expect for yourself, and how can you work towards that and not rely so much on what you think a boss may or may not think of you, or, you know, put anyone in that position. It's up to you to decide what to expect of yourself or to others. You know, Brene Brown says in her book, Dare to Lead, that the number of people whose opinions you should really, really care about should fit on a small Post-it. So not even this size. I think even smaller than this. This size Post-it is the size, the number of people's names you can fit on this is only one side, are the people's whose opinions you should really, really worry about. Now, your boss is definitely in that category, but ultimately, who you are as an individual might have nothing to do with how your boss interacts with you at all. So keep that in mind, and be awesome and self-lead and communicate well and have a great week.